Good morning, friends. This is your old girl, Melanie Rose, here to share your daily aspects. Today is Monday, January 17, 2022, and the sun is in Capricorn for a few days more. Venus and Pluto are also in Capricorn, so we've been doing this dance of a spotlight of the sun being in this influence of responsibility and tradition, doing what is tried and true, being conservative, and also in the love and money sector of our life and the deep transformation of our life, we've been challenged with these ideas of responsibility and doing what is tried and true. So now's a good time to look back on how this month has gone for you and ask yourself, like, what did you take on in terms of aspirations and ambitions? What did you set yourself to work on? What are you at work on in the world? Where has your conservatism been brought out? Because we all have a little bit of a conservative nature. And how has that been useful to you? What do you have from this experience that you can bring forward with you into the rest of 2022? The moon today is in Cancer most of the day. It will make Ingress into Leo late tonight. It is a full moon in Cancer, so moon in Cancer at all times is going to have an emphasis on our emotional life and our domestic life. It's a very watery vibe. Water is very healing at this time. You can take yourself a bath or a shower. You can make yourself some soup, water your plants, be at home. That's what the moon in Cancer makes us feel like. And the full moon aspect, the full moon phase that we're in, is a time of recollection and celebration and appreciation for what we have gained through our own efforts and just through dumb luck itself sometimes. So this is a good time to celebrate. Hopefully that Cancer emotional energy is a positive emotional energy during this full moon as we celebrate and appreciate what we have and what we have gained, what we have achieved. Okay, so let's take a look at this legend and go over the symbols that are on the page so that we have a good idea what kind of energies we're working with at this time. The sun is at the top of the list, and the sun, as ever, it speaks to our outer life. So this is who you are when you step out the door, the person that people first get to know when they meet you, and also how you engage in your work life, your social life, and your civic life. After the sun comes the moon. The moon is about the inner life. This is more about your relationship with yourself, those things you think and know through emotion and intuition, and also how you are engaged in your domestic or your home life. Neptune is on the page today. Neptune represents our relationship to the broader sphere of humanity. Pluto is our planet for transformation. It brings us through the high highs and low lows of our experiences, and through those we become transformed. Venus is your planet for love and money, or how do you personally relate to those people and things that you value the most. Mercury is about the intellect. What are your day-to-day thoughts, plans, and communications and the running around that you do? Chiron is on the page down here. Chiron represents our capacity to heal and also what we're working on healing in this lifetime. And Uranus comes around and asks us to do things differently, and so it brings about some changes. As for aspect energies on the board, we have a handful. We have a trine this morning, which is very harmonious. I'm beginning to see that as, not just a matter of synchronicity, but also a point of possible inspiration. It's sort of like things are said to be working ideally between these planets. So, that's likely to bring us some inspiration and some creativity. Opposition is the potential for conflict, but also an opportunity to find a balance. Ingress is about transition, and that's because there's a planetary body that's moving out of one sign and into the next. So the sign's effects change on the planet and the planet's effects change on us, and we'll feel that transition. Conjunct tends to amplify the effects of both of the planets involved. And sextile is a cooperative, positive energy that helps us get things done. Signs of note on the page today are Capricorn, Cancer, Leo, and Scorpio. Oh, and I forgot to put Aquarius in there. There you go, Aquarius. Hate to miss out on y'all. Okay, we start with the moon today. As I've said before, I divided the page into 2 columns, one for each of our luminaries. The moon is about our inner life, and the aspects and transits that happen here have more to do with our emotional selves and the way we behave in our home space. The sun represents our outer life, and the rest of the planets and their aspects are addressed over here because they take longer than moon aspects, and they tend to have more of an impact on how we're acting out in the world. And we begin with the moon at 4:19 Central Standard Time. In the morning, the moon made a trine with Neptune. This is a really positive vibration. It represents increased imagination and creativity, and increased ability to collaborate, and really to gain some inspiration from our relationship to the human collective. So inspiration from our connection to others. And that's not just those people we keep close to us, but our neighborhoods, our communities, our townships, etc. And then at 3 in the afternoon, 3:08 p.m., the moon runs in opposition to Pluto. So this aspect can bring us actually a sense of inner turmoil, where our reactions to our feelings or the things that we deeply know or intuit can be intense. We may feel somewhat out of control at this time. And it's worthwhile to notice, we'll talk about this more, that the sun is also in opposition to the moon. So it's really the sun is conjunct with Pluto, and they're both in opposition to the moon in Cancer. So this is going to bring about sort of almost like when you try to push 2 magnets together on the side where they don't connect, right? Sort of this buzzy resistance feeling, likely in the emotions and in our relationship with the outer world. So look out, friends. Inner turmoil and intense reactions. So sometimes, to maintain control of ourselves in the face of big conflict, we have to sort of step back and know what we know and feel what we feel, but not take it out on the people around us. And that's the warning there. And then this evening at 10:03 p.m., the moon will make ingress to Leo. That's a 2.5-day transit. And moon in Leo, that's a really warm and loving vibe. Leo is actually kind of a maternal drive, or even just a parenting vibe. Leo is represented by the sun. Leo is ruled by the sun. So it's that light, that warm light that shines on our lives and allows us growth, warmth, and growth. And letting our light shine. and that's in particular, in the emotional, letting your emotional light shine. Turn on your heart light, folks, and let it shine wherever you go. So that warmth and growth, it really has to do with your emotional self and also in your home life. As for the sun side of the page, in the ongoing column, we have Venus retrograde through the 29th. We've been somewhat conservative for the past several weeks with our love and our labor. We are we're looking into those committed relationships, not just at home, but out in the workforce and in our civic world. We're seeking value in return for our investments. We have to make sure we're getting what we need out of the relationships we engage in. And, seeing what doesn't work to get us what we need, and planning to make some shifts, planning to change the arrangement, however we might need to do that. Mercury in retrograde will also be with us through the 3rd of February, so just a few days after Venus goes direct, Mercury will go direct, but right now we're getting this sort of double whammy of retrograde. This represents more challenges with being able to plan and communicate. It's not saying don't communicate, and it's not saying freak out because nobody's listening, or freak out because you're not going to be able to get done what you want to get done. It's really just saying, let's be really intentional with our communication. And again, let's notice what doesn't work. Like maybe sending the text doesn't work. Maybe we need to have the conversation on the phone or in person, and just shifting our approach. Moving into the resistance, but in a clever way, not in just a straightforward way that might cause more harm than it heals. Also in the ongoing column, this just came up yesterday. It's really about a 24-hour transit, but it's here just long enough to have an impact with the sun and the moon's opposition right now. So the sun is conjunct with Pluto. You see they're both in Capricorn right now, and they're both just basically overlapping one another. And so this puts a spotlight on those transformational energies that Pluto brings up, puts a spotlight on, the extremes of our emotion, those high highs and low lows. We're really noticing, whatever endings we're going through or whatever beginnings are coming around in our life. And it does give us an increased amount of power to affect our circumstances. Pluto is a very powerful, slow-moving, but transformation is inevitable, right? A powerful planet, and it gives us the power, especially with the sun there, to affect our circumstances, especially in relationship, again, to those responsibilities, those tried and true methods that have come up for us under review. And then it's important to remember, and this is going to come up a lot in the coming days, that there's a lot of shifting and transformation going on in the outer world. And if you just watch the news, if you just pay attention to what's going on in the world, you can see big transformations happening, and also sort of just things that are frightening or things that are complex, coming up and giving us these extremes of feeling and extremes of knowing that will transform us in the process, personally and as a world community. As for today, on the sun side of the page, the sun makes opposition to a void of course moon. So sun in opposition to the moon is really, this is the moment of the culmination of the full moon. And so it's a moment of transition, because before this moment, at 5 in the afternoon, 5:48 p.m. Before this moment, the moon is technically still waxing. So the energy that is that of growth and focus and planning and moving forward and collecting what we need. And after the moon is at its culmination, it begins to wane. So that becomes a spirit more of letting go, shedding what no longer works for us, and sort of being in review again of those things that have worked for us in the past, so we can see what isn't working. So, But Sun in opposition to Moon symbolically says that the outer life is potentially in conflict with the inner life, and especially with the outer life being all about these transformational energies. Okay, think about the world and the world of humans, especially being in conjunct with these transformational energies, which are definitely right upon us. And that being in opposition to the way we feel on the inside, what our emotions are, what our intentions are, sort of what we want out of life personally as human beings, and also being at odds with what's going on in our home space. I'm definitely experiencing some of that. So this is outer and inner life conflict, and also, asking us to find the balance. So if the outer life seems too wild and hectic, if the world out there and humanity in general seems too much for us in one way or another, we've got to find the balance with our inner life. We can't affect necessarily the way other people behave. We can only control the way we behave and the way we respond to things. So, it's time to start getting our own hearts and our own domestic life in order. Tomorrow on the page, we have Mercury in a sextile relationship with Chiron. And this came up a couple of weeks ago, so we've been under this energy for a while, and I have been advising, advocate for yourself, because we're not making any hard endings right now. We're not making any hard starts without really putting a lot of effort into it. But this is Mercury in retrograde with Chiron, so this is about finding ways, very intentionally and specifically finding ways to communicate about what isn't working for you, to express your worries and concerns, and to look for solutions. And that's, it's very much having to do with your outer life, but it's also about your inner life. Mercury is kind of where those things connect in a way, because what comes up must come out at some point. And then also tomorrow, Uranus is going direct. So when Uranus goes retrograde for about 4 or 5 months out of the year, and then when it goes direct, at first, the appearance is that it slows down and then it kind of stops in the sky. And if you think about something that's been going with the flow, either, against the flow or with the flow, when it stops and changes direction, it's going to cause a big ripple effect. And Uranus is it's an outer planet. Its energies have more to do with the outer world, humanity at large, and our experience of the outer world. So we're seeing a lot of shakeups, and we're seeing a lot of dramatic things happen right now during Uranus's stationing. Again, just tune into the news tonight and see what you think about that, if you can confirm that for me. And then when Mercury goes direct, we're still going to be seeing a lot of shakeups and changes. Mercury is in Taurus, not Mercury, Uranus is in Taurus. So Uranus asks us to do things differently, and Taurus is like, I don't really like to do things differently. So it's sort of a conflicted place for Uranus to be anyway. And so we're likely to see a lot of conflict coming up in the outer world, just as a heads up. And also tomorrow, Pluto reaches its aphelion. We notice that Pluto's been conjunct with the sun, so it's been amplified a little bit. But aphelion means it's actually at its farthest point from the sun. And this takes it out of the spotlight and makes that deeper understanding, that deeper knowing, a little harder for us to access. Coming up on Wednesday, the sun goes into Aquarius. So we'll be lifting up out of that Capricorn hard work and diligence vibe and more into a vibration of thinking about things in a very intellectual way and trying to approach problems in new and different ways. And then next week on Tuesday, we will see the third quarter moon, the waning moon, halfway between the full and the new. and that will be in Scorpio. Okay, well, that's a lot of information, and that is it for the aspects and transits today. You know, I'm going to come back and talk to you about this Four of Pentacles that I keep by the side here. That's going to change in a few days. It's going to become the Five of Swords as we enter Aquarius. And if you are interested in Tarot, if you know anything about Tarot, you'll understand that this is a very conservative vibration. It asks you to store up your resources, or it identifies that you've been storing up your resources, conserving your love and labor, but also maybe having some challenges with expressing yourself, and also maybe having some challenges with sharing in general. Okay, like we want to conserve, but you know, living in the world is about sharing what you have. Living in the world of humanity is about sharing what you have. So there's that, and that is the space of time that we are in for the last 10 days. I'm going to throw a card for today just to see what this vibration, you know, Sun in Capricorn, Venus in retrograde, and Pluto also in Capricorn. Monday is ruled by the moon, and it is a full moon in Cancer, which brings up our emotional lives and puts us very much in desiring to be in our home space. We've got some auspicious vibes. We've got some pretty challenging vibes up here. So let's give that some thought and turn over a card. Queen of Pentacles. This is growth and nurturance of physical resources. Sometimes the queen is depicted in such a way that she looks practically pregnant. So, you know, there's this sense of potential there for, you know, new birth, for new health and wealth to come into our lives. The white rabbit there indicates, you know, alertness, but also intuition, the use of intuition. So, you know, the queen is a nurturing figure in general, and especially the Queen of Pentacles, you know, has full use of her resources, and is comfortable sharing them to help others as well. So I see that as a pretty good energy, even considering all the potential just strainedness and depth of emotion that's coming in. And that is it for today, friends. I appreciate you showing up and attending my 20-minute webinar on today's aspects. And if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comments section below so I can see them and I will respond to them. I thank you all for showing up. Please like my video and subscribe to my channel. And I'll see you all back here tomorrow for more daily aspects.